I support immigration reform. I have seen the challenges. I have experienced as a lawyer trying to figure out the immigration system that we have. And I've been a lawyer for 25 years, and it is a broken system. And there are people with so much to offer this country that for no good reason we put up too many barriers to get in their way. And that's why I have worked for years, long before I was ever a candidate, and as a host, as a broadcaster, to make a difference on. I support the California Dream Act. It's been mentioned.
Areas that are very important to me with regard to this position and any other commission assignment. And as you heard in some of my previous questions, one of the areas that's most important to me in who will make a qualified public works commissioner is their commitment to environmental protection and how the city can best pursue those goals through not only its built environment, the infrastructure, but also through sanitation and otherwise. If I may, I'll get to the question then.
Oh, sure.
The question is, you've been very outspoken in the past, publicly extremely outspoken, in challenging some basic premises that many of us in the environmental movement take as absolutely undeniable truths. And one of them is the human impact on the climate. And you have publicly mocked that, actually, in the past through your radio show and otherwise. So I'd like to know, as you sit here today, and I recognize through some of the things you said during the mayoral campaign and otherwise, maybe that thought has evolved over time. But I would like to hear from you in detail how you think, what you think the human impact on the climate is, first of all, whether there is human impact on the climate. If so, does the city have an obligation to try to address that? And if so, what can we do through our Public Works Department to achieve those goals? Not our impact on the environment, but our impact on climate. So I agree with you, and I think there's many areas that we agree with on impacts on the environment.
I'm going to get there.
Climate change, do you feel that there's a human...
Of course.
Mr. President, I believe it's very important that campaigns end on Election Day and that we begin the day after an election to find common ground, and I think that the mayor's nomination of you to this position does that, and so I'm proud to support.
Thank you, Councilman.
And I agree with you. I mean, the election was done 8 p.m. on whatever day that was. Now it's time to move forward to take care of the greatest city on the planet.
I talked to you this morning. A lot of emails, a lot of concerns about your qualifications to represent the entire city. And I agree with my colleague, Mr. Krikorian, that the mayor has been elected. He has been chosen by the people. And he has a duty, an obligation, and a right to make appointments. And absent any major concern, that we should support the mayor. That we want to work in concert in moving our city forward. But as we talked this morning, you know that I'm the author of the DREAM Act, several pieces of legislation to improve highway safety. It's important, I think, for the community to hear your evolving views on the questions that relate to immigration. And we spoke about this morning, and so I want to ask you a few questions with respect to that, because this is, if it's anything, a city of immigrants.
Absolutely.
And it is a city of promise and hope, and a city where people come to realize their dreams. As I said during the meeting, potholes are neither Republican or Democratic. Right?
I've yet to find one that voted for me.
They have neither gender, they have neither any bias. They are a problem and a challenge that confronts us. And as we spoke during the hearing, I think first and foremost we must think about public works as public service and as the tool and the vehicle that we use to create the physical environment for our economy to prosper for all. And so we come back to the question about service for the entirety of the community. Let me just ask you your feelings on the question of immigration reform as it confronts us in the nation today.
I also believe that beyond the position of public works, because I agree with you, my position represents the entire city, and I want to focus on CD1, CD8, 9, and 10, because in many ways those council districts have been underserved. And for other areas where I might be a voice for positive change with the audience that I attract and have in the past, with the voters that supported me, with a nonpartisan message, I'm happy to do it, and I think I can make a positive difference in that respect if you give me the opportunity to.
Second question regards the living wage. There actually perhaps is a Democrat or a Republican way to treat workers and wages. The Bureau of Contract Administration oversees a lot of contracts, and part of that is monitoring compliance with the living wage ordinance. Are you committed to aggressively monitoring compliance with the living wage ordinance so nobody is cheated out of a living wage?
Yes, and let me be a bit more, the answer to your question is yes, council member, but I want to be a little bit more broad than that. I am committed to compliance with our city's ordinances and the work that we do across the board. One of the things that I was critical of during the campaign is sometimes our city's inability to follow its own ordinances across the board. People in CD5 and CD11, perhaps, Councilmember Bonin, are the most critical of city government in those areas. And it's one aspect where my experience as a government lawyer, my experience as an assistant United States attorney, I think brings a unique ability to go the extra mile on just that topic from where I will sit, hopefully, on the Board of Public Works.
I just want to close this the way I started this, which is we can disagree about a lot of things. The mayor appoints commissioners, and I think that on the substance, your record as a lawyer qualifies you well to do this work. I have to say, I don't think there's ever been a commissioner who appeared in this council appointee that I have had more strenuous political disagreements with than you. And yet, I think this has been a very productive discussion that we've had here today. I appreciate your frank responses to some very tough questions. Despite all of those disagreements, I actually congratulate the mayor on doing the kind of bridge building that this appointment represents, because you do speak in a way that many constituents of ours speak, and you share political views that some of our constituents share. And at the conclusion of a very tough, difficult campaign, both for the mayor and for many of the new members that have arrived here, this is time for this city to come together with a common vision for building a better future for Los Angeles. I look forward to working with you in doing that, and members, I ask that you support the nominee.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, with that said, thank you, Mr. James. Thank you for being here today and allowing the council to ask you a series of questions. With that said, Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, congratulations.